I want to make another video about hypergamy because there's a gentleman that left a lot of very thoughtful comments about it, which is all true. What we're finding now is that as women are earning more money and becoming more successful than men, by the way, women in their 20s are now out earning men in their 20s because they're going to college. Except for the men that have gone to trade school. I'm going off on a tangent. Some plumbers, some electricians, so on, they can make really good money. But um, as women have made more money and they're looking to men, they're trained. I think we were trained growing up. We saw that dad earned more than mom, men earned more than women, so we expect a man to earn more than us. I think it's just like that's just how the world is. But the world is changing, and as women are, more women are going to college and men are not. And as the economy worldwide has really, really changed, you guys, the excess money printing, the outsourcing, more automation, the changes in the political structures that are making more and more money go to the top few and people at the bottom getting poorer and poorer. Do you know that since the 70s, wages for most Americans have been flat while the cost of everything has gone up and the cost of certain items has increased exponentially? I am speaking of healthcare, housing, and education. So there are fewer men who are able to be a provider. So the expectation of women that a man needs to be a provider has to really change. Like I said, the world has changed. There are women who are looking for a male provider are going to be single forever. If they, by provider, it's a man earning more than she is. The majority of relationships now are two people working, and among these college educated women, they're marrying men who are of equal income. So people are forging partnerships. I look at my kids' friends, and they were like all people that had like AP courses in high school, went to good colleges, got degrees. The relationships they're having are not these traditional relationships, they're forming partnerships. And for these people, relationships are important. I'm going to call them relational. Now, this gentleman that left the comment, and welcome to my channel. I love really insightful, well thought out comments, and I really like when people leave those on my channel. Um, there are a lot of, I guess social media has kind of magnified the voices of certain people, extreme people, especially loud people. They get all the attention, right? Look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I mean, I was fascinated by that. But that was not life supporting or uplifting or relational or beautiful in any sense of the word, but it was so captivating. Why do people watch true crime stories? But there are some women, and now I grew up in a home where women were submissive, quiet, codependent. I have never witnessed women shrill, shrieking, demanding, and controlling. Like, that is not my world. And seeing that on the internet is like so grating. Like, who would want to be around that? I'm not going to use any bad words, but it's just very, I'm going to call it grandiose. So this gentleman was commenting about a woman on some video, just very demanding about how she needs she makes all this money and she needs a man to make all this money to be better than her. And aside from the fact that a man wants a feminine woman, it's like we all want to be around people who are kind and who are kind. There's nothing attractive about her demanding nature. So So, it would be the same as a man coming up to me and yelling at me that I need to give him sex, and why aren't I, slender enough, or why don't I lose a pound under my waist, and how women just suck. They just want to, it's so angry. I think of there are more and more people now speaking up about how um, women were told, you don't need a man, you can earn your own money. And I think it's good that women can earn their own money, because what it does, it makes us so we don't have to stay in neglectful, abusive relationships. And it makes it so that we can support our families if our husband dies or something happens. So I'm a big believer in women working part-time, so that if they need to leave, or they have to support the family, or something happens to the husband and he can't work, that she can take over. I don't believe in women working full-time. That's just me personally, but I know a lot of women want to, so that's fine. And so and so so we kind of have gone the other way, and now there are people saying, well, all these women, they work on their careers, they get to be around 30, and they start feeling like, oh my god, I've really focused on this career. I did what my parents told me, what the teachers told me, what society told me, and now I want to have children, or now I want to get married. And it's really hard for a woman, especially because nurturing takes energy also. And when you're giving all that energy to your job, where is that energy to give to your home life, to your children, to your husband? Especially for women, our physiology is just different. We're just different. We're more delicate in ways, I'm going to say that we're just a little more delicate in ways. And now they're 30 or 32, and they're very stressed from working so hard. They're in compete mode. They forgot how to be, maybe they forgot how to be feminine, not always. And now they're looking for a man, but these men in their early 30s and mid 30s are also successful now. The men that they want, a lot of women want. And these men have the choice, and a lot of these guys are already married. My sons are in their 20s, and a lot of their friends are already married. One of my sons is already married, because successful people do prefer marriage. It's just the truth. The marriage rate has declined among lower income people, but the high income people and the middle income people, they're still getting married. So you can look that up. So a lot of their friends and people who value relationships and family life are getting married. So, like, my sons are going to be off the market, and they're successful, good men. Like, a lot of men are going to be off the market by the time they're in their 30s. Not all men. Some men want to wait. That's fine. I have a son in medical school. He's going to probably wait till he gets married, till he's in his 30s. But women love him because he's super nice. He's really nice. But I'm digressing. So, what these women have to realize, I'm going to give you an example of a feminine, successful woman in her 30s. I think of Camille Vasquez. If you didn't watch the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, you won't know who she is, but if you did, you'll know who she is. She is this very feminine, attractive, successful lawyer who cross-examined Amber Heard, and she stole it. She stole the show. She was so good and so on point. Like, all the lawyers were talking about her. All the lawyers on YouTube were talking about how fabulous she was. And Johnny Depp ended up winning, but Camille Vasquez just blew it out of the park. It was a case she'd worked on for many years, and as a result of that, she was made partner. Partner is a very hard thing to accomplish in a law firm. My brother used to work on Wall Street. I know all the hours that people have to put in to become partner and how much people want that. And most women don't want that because of all the hard hours. You can't be a mom and be partner. It's pretty much one or the other. I think Camille Vasquez is in her mid 30s. I had to close the windows because someone's doing some work outside. So now, if women are hypergamous, Camille Vasquez, if someone like her could be like, yeah, I want a guy who owns a bunch of law firms, and, he's got to have more money and be tall and have six-pack abs, but she's not like that. She's very feminine, at least in everything I've seen of her, how she conducts herself, how she is in interviews. To me, she comes across as a feminine woman to me, and she is an anomaly, you guys. If you can get someone like her who's so successful yet so humble and feminine, score, total score. Now, her boyfriend is a gentleman in the UK. He's got his own business or whatever. So, yeah, I don't think she's going to want to date the paralegal. I don't think she's going to want to date the guy who's, um, you know, struggling as a DoorDash driver. Okay, she's got somebody equal, but she didn't look for someone who makes more money than she does. I think that's what women have to get to. I think that we all have to stop looking for someone to give us something that we don't have. So I think we have to look at ourselves and say men and women are no longer on an economic polarity scale. Women can work. So let's not look for men to give us something that we don't have, unless there's a man who wants to. And a lot of men don't want to anymore be the provider. Now, there's some men who want to be the provider. They want to be the provider because they have a high income ability and they value a stay-at-home mom. One of my sons is like that. He's like, I'm going to make really good money. I want a stay-at-home mom. She can work part-time. She can work if she wants. She doesn't have to. I value stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. Some men, one of my other sons is like, I really like money. You know, I want a relationship and where we're both working and contributing to our financial goals, and it's really fun. So you have that option. So it's so important to find someone who has the same view of it that you have. The main thing, though, is what people are forgetting is to be relational. To be relational, that's the main thing. Instead of, what can this person do for me? Is this person an object I can use as arm candy? And that's the thing about these guys with these younger women. They're objectifying the woman in the same way that the woman is objectifying the man for money. Like, what can you do for me so that I can treat you as an object for my pleasure? Which, if you want that kind of relationship, that's just something that I'm not attracted to, that kind of a relationship. I'm more interested in relationality, because the way that we get along with the people in our home is the most reliable indicator of our own mental and emotional health. Being around other people who are happy and whose company you enjoy, that to me is the most important thing. Not, you know, can I show this person off in my social circles to show that I'm all that because I'm so insecure. Now, if a guy's dating this younger woman and they have a really good relationship and she adores him and honors him and he's sweet to her, that's one thing. But I don't get the sense that that's what it is. I get the sense of like men and a younger woman is the same as a woman liking an older, more successful man. They're just kind of using each other. It's kind of the sense that I get. And with women more earning their own money and fewer men earning good money, the economic scales have more or less leveled out a lot, except for if there, you know, there's a small segment of the population that makes a lot of money and where men out earn women. Maybe that's 10% of people, but for the 90% of us, we can't look for that. It's economic equality now. So with that said, what kind of relationship do you want? And, you know, what a lot of people don't realize, I'm 60 now, I've realized is that as long as you have enough money to pay your bills, any more money than that doesn't make you happy. What really matters is your own emotional, mental, and physical health and how well you get along with the people you're around and if they're healthy. That's what really matters. And going back to that gentleman's comment, men don't want women to outcompete them. But I don't want a man to outcompete me either. It's like, oh, look at my six-pack abs. Look at me, you know, prancing around. It's not so much about the competing, out competing. Yeah, it's like, I'm better than you, I work harder than you. Like, a relationship isn't supposed to be a competition. It's supposed to feel warm and kind and nourishing and fun and playful and exciting and calm and peaceful. So now there are a number of people who have talked on this topic already, and people are starting to wake up to the fact that this is not working. Women are not, this bad girl bitch boss thing isn't working. I think it comes a lot from women growing up without fathers, and there apparently are a lot of women. I'm learning now there are a lot of women who are actually really grandiose and shrill and yelling, and they model to their little girls that it's okay. The boys see that, they get used to moms who yell at them, so they put up with women yelling at them. So you can have a relationship where the woman is just, you can have a very successful rich guy, and you can have the woman just putting him down, telling him he's a piece of shit and no good, and he puts up with it because that's how his mom treated him. And he could be in his 40s and 50s. I am just hearing these stories now, like, it's just shocking to me. People's intimate relationships are not apparent from what you see on the outside at all. Not at all. Because though you don't know what goes on in people's homes, you don't know how people treat their kids and what the kids see. And those kids grow up to have those same dysfunctional relationships that they experience as a child, because they're either modeling their parents or putting up with what they had to go through. And that's what these relationships are. So I don't really give a shit that much about the guy's money. We're learning a lot more now about relationships, and we're also learning, about mental health and trauma and how people's relationships are. And we're also seeing that women waiting so long to get married isn't helping. Women being so defiant and being like men isn't helping, because the women aren't happier. They're not happier having sex like men. They're not happier at 35 childless with a career. There's a gentleman, elderly advice, who talks about when he worked at the university, he would date females in the university, professors. They were so concerned about their tenure. They were working all the time and publishing papers and doing research that they were exhausted or had no time for a relationship. And he didn't want that anymore. He just wants a nice woman who wants to, just be a woman. It's harder for women often to turn that off when they get home. We're not the same as men. I think that people seem so surprised. We're not the same. Our physiology is more delicate. We need more resting time to recharge. We don't have your testosterone. Testosterone makes you want to compete. So you guys, this is why I tell men to step it up. Use your testosterone. It's there for a reason, to help you compete and focus. And a woman looking for a healthy man is going to look for that. And if you're not healthy, it's just going to make you less desirable. So fix that stuff. There is so much information out there now. So who else is talking about this? Jordan Peterson talks about this. He's made some videos about this. He used to do a lot of consulting for law firms. And he also he's worked in childcare. He used to work in a preschool when he was in college. He's worked around women all of his career at the university, mostly women. And he has seen what happens to women. They are all career focused, and they get in their 30s, and now they have no man, and it's hard for them to gets harder to get pregnant. And the good guys have usually gotten married or have a greater choice among women, and they don't want some bad boss bitch babe. A successful man is not looking for a woman to out earn him. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm going to say my ex-husband really did not like me being a stay-at-home mom. I'm not going to say that all men want to be the provider, because he did not want to be the provider. He did not. He was okay with me staying at home till the kids were kindergarten age, and then he didn't like it anymore. He resented me for that. He didn't appreciate me being at home. He hated his job. That was one thing. And that's another thing, guys. You have to get to a point where you love your job. You can't resent providing. He resented providing and he blamed me for that. He didn't want to be the provider. And I did look for part-time jobs many times. I did work part-time many years when I could. I did like that, but I didn't want to work full-time. Yeah, so I'm not going to say that all men are want to provide for a woman. They don't. A lot of men want the woman to work. They don't want all that responsibility. Now, my ex-husband's mom was a workaholic. She did get her master's in teaching when he was little and worked, so that's what he saw and that's what he liked. But he didn't have a good relationship with his mom. She was cold and she's kind of volatile emotionally, which is probably why he got so avoidant. She shut down his emotions. So sad. Nonetheless, there's another woman talking about the changes, the consequences of what we've done in the social experiment of telling women they don't need men. Louise Perry, she's the author of a book called The Sexual Revolution. She was interviewed on Chris Williamson's podcast recently. Her book is already out in the UK. I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and she speaks of the exact same thing. Women are not benefiting from this hookup culture. We were told the pill was supposed to free us from being, stuck in the kitchen having babies for 30 years in a row. But what it's done is made women say we can fuck like men. And then women have turned out to be very emotionally traumatized by it and disappointed by it. I don't like to fuck like a man. It doesn't work the same way for me. I'm not like a man. And women are waking up and society is waking up to we're not the same. But now here's the question, you guys. Where do we go from here? I will say this. In my book, The Fuck List and What I Did for Sex, I wrote a section on sequencing. I'm going to get the book and read it to you guys because I was on to this a long time ago. I have been on this since I was a new mom in the early 90s. I was on this, and our society has made no progress in this area. Well, let me just tell you what it is. Sequencing is the idea that I never hear this word anymore. It was a big word in the late 80s when, I was a new wife. It's the idea that a woman has a career, okay, because I had a career. We stopped working to stay home and raise our children, which is what all my friends did, because all of our husbands were professionals. We stayed home. And then when the kids are older, we go back to work. One of my models was my neighbor. My neighbors were art consultants, and she had started her career. She was a stay-at-home mom, and after her boys went to college, she started a career as an art consultant, like a good career. She was traveling around and advising corporations on which art they should purchase, and they had a shop where they did printing. They did all this beautiful stucco work and remodeling on their house in Phoenix. Like, it was a gorgeous house. They overdid it for the street because we had this little house and they had this beautiful stucco done house. And I thought one day I'm going to be like her. When my kids are older, I'm going to start my own business. And I had her in my mind this whole time. But my point is, I went back to work part-time after my daughter was born with my breast pump and everything, and I was going to stay working part-time. I had a nanny, a very sweet nanny, this woman from Germany who'd been a nurse, and her boyfriend was getting his PhD in computer science at ASU Tempe, which is where I'd gone to school, and my daughter really liked her, and she was just super sweet, but then I got laid off. So I decided to stay home with my daughter, and then a couple months later, when my daughter was 9 months old, I realized I accidentally had got pregnant with my son. Such a blessing. He was my only surprise. And I just stayed home with them. And then I started, eventually, staying home with kids, just so you know, is very depleting and very boring. It's a constant, emotional, energetic giving. They can't talk to you. They're very needy. And then my husband would come home, and he was so avoidant. Like, I was just so depleted. So I would say, let's go out to dinner because I just wanted some adult time other than what I got going to the gym or doing mom and baby groups. You know, my family lived far away. I didn't want to leave my kids with just anyone. So even when I went to the dentist, I had to take them with me. You know, it was very hard. And he didn't want to go out. He didn't want to spend money on going out. He didn't want to bond with me in that way. So it was very depleting, and it was a very hard time for me. I was often very stressed. I had two kids in diapers. It was very stressful and very isolating to me. And that's why I'm such a big believer that new moms need a lot of support. I didn't have postpartum depression. I'm like, life is really hard right now. These kids need a lot of stuff. I have no breaks, and my husband isn't even willing to give me any adult time. That was a huge mistake on his part. That's when I started feeling like a lot of comfort in Vicodin. I mean, yeah, I was working out, eating organic food, I was meditating, but you know, it was just hard. And eventually I was like, you know, he's the lucky one. He gets to leave all this stuff and go to work and be around adults and get dressed up and be recognized for his work. And meanwhile, I'm at home doing all this really hard stuff. I don't get paid for it. And then eventually I decided that I wanted to work part-time. I was going to school for my MBA, and then I loved studying. I loved going to school at night. I loved studying. When the kids napped, I would study. And I started looking for part-time work because I'm like, look at me, you know, I have all these job skills. I had been a manager in a for a software company in the quality assurance department. A lot of my friends had been like engineers or lawyers or accountants, and they were staying home. I'm like, there's this whole market of moms. We want to work part-time. We don't want to work full-time. Let's go look for a job. So back then, the newspaper classified ads. There was nothing. I'm like, what is wrong with these companies? Why can't they take like two moms for one job or have a part-time job? No, it all had to be full-time. And I was like scratching my head, you know, and for years I kept looking for years and years. I kept looking for like 10 or 15 years. I kept looking. Even now, I will be surprised if you can find a part-time engineer, part-time accountant, part-time lawyer. I will be surprised. And so what happened is all these moms that wanted to keep working part-time, these companies lost all those resources. They didn't want that. There was no space for us. So what did we do? Some of these moms had really rich husbands and just stopped working. Some of them couldn't work anymore. So year after year went by, and now my kids are in high school, and these moms have not worked in 20 years, and now some of their husbands got laid off in the recession, or they lost some income, and now the women want to work. And what can they do? Jack shit. Because the last time they worked as a marketing executive was 20 years ago. Everything has changed, and now they got to work at like $15 an hour, $20 an hour, and it's really not worth it. Or, you know, they go back working as a secretary, or they start a job as a realtor, but a lot of them don't even start. And now their kids are in college, and they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and they're bored with their lives. That's how it happens. And a lot of people, I think, looked at that and go, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to just sit around like that and be all helpless, dependent on some guy. I'm going to go after it and do things the way my mom never did, or the way that my mom did. But I'm telling you, staying home with kids was not that easy, because how do you get back into the workforce? How did I do it? I started a blog about the housing bubble in 2005. People kept coming to my blog and saying, you should be a realtor. I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor. I'm having fun with this blog exposing the housing bubble. Then I'm like, I think I'll be a realtor. So I became a realtor, and then it was really hard to make money as a realtor. So I started looking for jobs, and I had already decided when I was younger I would go work for a temp agency, get a job through a temp agency, because I had gotten jobs through temp agencies before. It's really easy, you guys. If you want to get back into the workforce, temp agencies are great, because it's very easy to get put into a job. And then if the company likes you, they take you on full time. It's low risk for the company, and it gets you back into the job market, and you can have some really fun jobs. So I went through a temp agency, and I got this really cool job consulting for school districts. And I started out doing the filing and answering the phone, and I figured I would just work my way up. In the company, they brought me on as an independent contractor, and I started getting more responsibilities and writing reports. I went to some meetings in Sacramento, and the sky was really the limit. But that's when I came out with my book, The Fuckless, and I quit my job, and the rest is history. But I rebuilt my career. During the time I was married, I did work. I mean, I think that's about the only job I had. My friend and I briefly did some furniture selling stuff. Um, I'd applied for various jobs as a bookkeeper, at the bank, at a like a bookstore, Verizon. None of them wanted to hire me, and that was the thing. Anyway, I think it's hard for women to work part time. That's what I'm getting at. It's not that easy to find a part time job, but women definitely have to be able to provide for themselves, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of in a very unique situation. But in general, if a woman wants to be a stay at home mom, here's the thing though, if a woman wants to be a stay at home mom and she likes taking care of, I'm not talking about, I'm going to sit home and watch TV and get my nails done while I have nannies watching my kids, house cleaners clean my house, and my husband has to find prostitutes to fuck him because I'm just so entitled and spoiled. That's bullshit. I'm talking about a real stay at home mom who likes to cook. She loves to cook. She's probably doing some knitting, felt work, crocheting, sewing, baking. She's probably maybe gardening, like a real stay at home mom. Take care of the kids, homeschooling, or, she's going to need a man who can provide. She's going to need a man who can provide because so she can do that. And this man is going to love coming home to all this homey stuff because it's so nourishing and sweet. And the man, if the man loves his job and he loves providing and he gets getting something out of value, he feels appreciated for providing. He comes home and while he's out working, she's doing stuff. The kids are happy. My kids were so happy. I had happy kids. When you can look at kids' faces, you can see if they're happy or not. If they're glowing, they're radiating. My kids were happy kids. So my husband got to come home to that. Dinner cooked, happy kids. I hope he appreciates it. I don't think he ever did. But nonetheless, I don't think I appreciate him enough either, to be honest, because he didn't go after things. He was always afraid. He was such a good worker, and he was always afraid to ask for raises. And I'd get so mad at him. Like, they're not paying you enough because you're good. He used to work for U-Haul doing accident investigations, and he has saved them so many millions of dollars because he could point out where the accident was not U-Haul's fault. He was such a good engineer. And in so many lawsuits, he saved them millions of dollars that most people would not have done. And then he started a huge project for them, but U-Haul was a very low-paying company. But they gave him a lot of opportunities to try all these great things and start these really great projects that gave him really good work experience. But then he would never really ask for the money, and then he got involved in a lot of work for the government, which is very depleting. It's not exciting work like figuring out stuff, designing systems, how did this accident happen, or designing cleanup systems and for underground storage tanks. It was all a lot of writing reports, and then people get their money. These people in the government, their whole job is to find a missing comma that gives them the meaning of the day. So they're always like nitpicking at everything, and it turns out the stuff they're nitpicking on wasn't even stuff they should have nitpicked on. And then he started hating his job, and then he started thinking, this is the best I can ever do. I would say, look for another job. No, there are no other jobs in my field. This is the only job. Well, then he got laid off. And within 3 months, he found another job, and it was a better job with the same amount of money, but a lot more exciting. And it wasn't for the government, it was for the private sector. And the private sector is all about just get the stuff done. We don't need a bunch of reports. And he loved it. But all those years he hated his job because he was determined there was no better job out there. So I hope you guys are learning from what I'm telling you. I hope you guys are learning from what I'm telling you from my life experience. Don't limit yourself. You know, he was so convinced there was nothing better out there, and there was this whole time. He's liked his jobs ever since, so that's good. So on hypergamy, he's remarried, and his wife makes more money than he does. So I don't think that all women are into hypergamy. A lot of women are aware of the if women make their own money and they're relational, they're not going to go after a guy who is making money. They're looking for a guy who's a decent guy, who's a good relationship guy. That's what they're looking for. These women who are like, I need a guy who makes more money, they're missing a chip. They're missing an important chip in their heart. They're missing something in their heart. Unless the woman is going to be a stay-at-home mom, which is it's very helpless to be a stay-at-home mom because you can't go anywhere. You're trapped physically and emotionally around caretaking and nurturing. You're very helpless. That's why women were always so choosy, because if you get me pregnant, I'm totally helpless and dependent on you, and I know this, so I'm going to pick a guy who's going to be a good dad, who's going to stick around and be able to provide. But if you're not looking for that, then you don't need to look for a guy who's making more money at all. I think a lot of these women have become... The other thing, too, I want to say is our society has really devalued femininity and softness. And we need more people to speak about women are different than men. I could get kicked off of Twitter for saying that. No, it's almost like shaming to say that. And there's strength in softness. I don't have to say, well, you never do this for me. I could just say, hey, babe, I really love it when you take out the trash. You look so sexy. You know? Or, I feel so taken care of when you take out the trash. You could say it like that. Is that weak? You turn me on when you bend over and pick up the trash can. You know, or, gosh, I really miss you so much. I loved it when we went out to dinner. I really miss that. Instead of, you never take me to dinner. Our society has devalued arts, singing in school. We're not nurturing those qualities. It's all, multiple choice test, the right answer. The flow, the singing, the arts have been devalued. Feminine energy has been devalued. The dysfunctional behaviors are really celebrated in the workplace. Compete, outdo, get one over on someone. It's time to be, relational again. Think about other people. Be kind. Have some honor. And more young people being on their phones, they're not developing those skills. They're on their phones. Then they have no social skills. So in social situations, they become anxious. Anxiety leads to depression. Now they have to drink to lower their social anxiety, which worsens their depression. And we end up with this whole nation on medication thinking it's a brain dysfunction when it's just they have to learn social skills, caring about other people. I don't believe that only 20% of men can get women. I think a lot more men can get women, but they have to do some basic things. Men are not beauty objects. We're not going to want you just because you have a penis. You guys are not that choosy. You guys are very horny. You want all these women, but you don't want us for a relationship. Get serious, guys. You want us because you want to fuck us. You want me. All of you guys watching me, most of you would fuck me if I would just spread my legs for you. Come over and fuck me. You're not going to want to date me or be in a relationship with me or marry me. So I'm supposed to feel like I have it good because you guys want to fuck me. That's called plundering. That's called plundering. And I don't want to fuck you just because you have a penis, because I'm a woman and women are different. So for me to want you, I want to know that you want a relationship with me. And for me to want a relationship with you, I want the same criteria in you that you're going to want in me. For you to want a relationship with me, you want to know that I'm going to be kind to you, that I have my life together, that I fit into your life. Whatever things you're looking for in a wife, it's not just a vagina. Those are the things I'm looking for in you. So it is fair. It is equal. It is equal. As to the guy who said that on my video that I am hypergamous, in this video where I said, where are all the good men? I'm not hypergamous. I'm just looking for a guy who's got what I've got. Equal physical, mental, emotional, and financial health. Except his financial health should be a little bit better than mine, because I spent 20 years of my life in woman mode, which is having babies, nurturing babies, and there's value in that. I don't have testosterone, so I should have more parenting skills, and you should have more money. I should have more nurturing and relational abilities, and you should have more money. That's just, we're different. But everything else should be the same. I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy, and I want the same in a guy. Else, why would I want him? I'm not that hung up on needing a dick. I can get a dildo for that. So a legitimate question in today's society is, if I've had my kids or I don't want kids, why would I want a relationship? What's in it for me? I mean, it's not a charity, right? We choose our friendships based on some mutuality. We choose our jobs based on mutuality, like, why should I work for you? There is a selfish aspect, yet there's also a giving aspect. Why would I want to engage in this partnership with you? I'm going to give you a lot when I'm in a partnership, but why you? And why even do it? Like, what would be the benefit to me? Because to me, it seems like it would just make my life worse. I don't have the thought that a man in my life would make my life better. I'm not there anymore. I'm not there anymore. Because I made peace with the fact, and maybe all those Manospheres videos, is that there isn't going to be a man who's going to come along and make my life better, or save me in some way, or give me some kind of experience. I've made peace with the fact that I have to be a whole person myself. And this is what I wanted after my divorce. I was like, I want to be totally self-contained and self-fulfilled, so I don't need anything from a guy. And I'm there. So, I'm there. So anyway, thanks for watching my video. This was the longest video I've ever made. And on weekends, I make these videos because I don't have personal training in the morning. Like, usually I get up Monday through Friday. I get up at 6. I go to my personal training, and then I just do whatever. And on the weekends, I don't have it. And so I'm like, oh, I wish I had someone to talk to. I have all these things I want to say. I just had 2 sips of coffee. Like, I just wake up. This is how I wake up. I wake up, I'm happy, and I don't think a lot of people are like me. I don't think they all wake up happy. And that's just how I am. Fortunately for me, whatever my parents did to me in childhood was mostly good and not that bad. I just talked to my 88-year-old mom the other day. She's just so sweet. She's still so sweet. I had a very sweet, loving mom. I felt loved as a child. And when my parents did stuff I didn't like, I didn't think something was wrong with me. I thought something was wrong with them. Like, what's wrong with these people? When I'm grown up, I'm going to leave these people so I can do whatever I want. I don't want to go on your boring picnics. I don't want to eat the stupid dinner. I don't want to have to go to bed when you tell me to go to bed. So I want to do whatever the fuck I want. So maybe I'm more on the entitled side a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But I can also be, with my husband, ex-husband, I was very fawning, more codependent fawning, like, how can I get you to love me? I'm going to just stop talking now. Thank you for watching my video.